Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
In the video conference, the Secretary General of the United Nations continued to inhale and make whirring sounds. How is it really possible? There were at least hundreds of strange fruits on the tree just now. Could it be that all mutant beasts are produced from the fruits of this tree? What a joke. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he said something like this. Yes. In the images captured by satellites, these heads of state clearly saw the fruit burst open. I thought it was really a fruit, but when it burst, gray-brown rattlesnakes crazily emerged from the inside, spreading out in an S shape, densely packed and terrifying. And in a fruit, there are at least a dozen rattlesnakes. This is impossible. The Secretary General's voice just fell, and the U.S. President suddenly burst into a scream. His eyes widened. I couldn't believe everything in my eyes. He knew about living plants. Mutant beast, he also knows. However, if living plants breed mutant beasts and kill him, he wouldn't believe it. Oh, Lord O'Hare, you seem to know something. You can explain to us, why are there rattlesnakes in the fruit of this strange tree after it has exploded? The Russian emperor has been paying attention to the black president and said unceremoniously after hearing his words. As for the moment, in the Sahara Desert, living trees more than 1,000 meters high appeared, and dense foliage blocked satellite detection. Naturally, the humans did not know what happened here. Wow! As the fruits exploded, rattlesnakes appeared one after another. The mutant beasts were shocked, but soon, with their IQ, they understood what was going on. The vines of living plants have automatically formed a circle to protect the snakes. There is only one answer. Roar. The golden lion growled. The sound is not very loud. The king has subdued all these rattlesnakes and this living tree. Wangwen spit out the letter and started talking. Zizi. Chi 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 chi. And those rattlesnakes appeared from the fruit and then found themselves in the desert and quickly moved on the ground. They found that there were densely packed mutant beasts around them. Their eyes were full of fear, and they quickly, at a speed, retreated behind eBay. King, what are these things? I feel bad breath. They want to eat us. Wang, save us. Chi-Chi, backing behind eBay, these rattlesnakes spit out black letters, and these words came out one after another. Huh. eBay glanced at them, then looked at the extremely puzzled mutant beasts, spit out the letter, and then began to speak. From today, more than 2,000 rattlesnakes have joined our snake clan. Wangwan, Manhwa Chioyue, and Joy are managed separately. Besides, everyone is ready. We are ready to move on. Yibei's voice was very cold. The rattlesnakes were all stunned when they heard it. King! 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 On the contrary, Wangwan, Chunwakuyu, they shouted neatly for joy. The expansion of the snake tribe is a great thing for them. As for the golden lion and other mutant beasts, they looked envious, and they were eager to expand the team quickly. Wang, they are all your subordinates? Hear this neat voice. A rattlesnake very close to eBay asked with courage and trembling voice. Hey. The other rattlesnakes raised their heads swiftly and looked at eBay, waiting for an answer. Yes, I am the king of beasts. These snakes and these beasts all belong to me. Chi-Chi. eBay didn't hide it, spit out the letter, and said coldly. At the beginning, these rattlesnakes chose to succumb only because they were afraid of eBay's powerful strength. After confirming this, every rattlesnake had unprecedented fear in his heart. When looking towards eBay, in his eyes, there is only worship and surrender. Wangwan, Chunhua Chioyue, have fun, come and arrange them. eBay ordered. The 9 miniaturized pythons swiftly moved over immediately, and with eBay, they were no longer afraid of living plants. When they arranged the rattlesnake, eBay was not idle. Living plants can grow in the desert, which is a super event. In the next second, eBay concentrated his mental energy and directly communicated with the living plant. This desert is endless. If you are placed here, how long can you survive? eBay's voice was cold. Living plants can move freely, but their IQ is not very high. After the transformation of the dead forest, he was 100% surrendered to Yi Bei. Wang only, as long as my rhizomes are not hit by a devastating blow. In this desert, no force can destroy me, and the rhizomes are now thousands of meters below the water layer. This plant is not talking, but communicating with Yi Bei through mental power. It is very rusty and stuttering, but it probably means that if this kind of thing is known by humans, their logic is estimated to be severely subverted again. Oh, in other words, as long as the rhizome is not destroyed, it is impossible to die. Yes, King. It seems that I was really lucky. When I was on the experimental island, this universe bag absorbed all of you. Okay, besides this, can you reproduce? Chi-Chi. Yi Bei kept spitting out the letter. Turning his back to the mutant beasts, his eyes were on the thick main pole of the living tree. It can be reproduced through seeds, but the reproduced plants are not independent living organisms. At that time, I will link them in the deep layer through roots, and I can control them together. In theory, I can take this whole piece of the desert is in complete control. The ambition of this living tree is not small. After having communication experience, the mental power of this guy is no longer lost. The learning ability is amazing. Not bad. A touch of joy flashed in Yi Bei's eyes. System, I can completely control this living plant, right? However, Yi Bei wouldn't really believe him. In his mind, he also asked the system. After the control of the death forest, they have become one with the host. Anyone who has entered the death forest, the host can take it back at any time. That is to say, this living plant cannot betray, it is true, and the host can easily give him ruined. The result given by the system is very positive. After getting this answer, Yi Bei didn't hesitate at all next. Well, from now on, you give me to reproduce wantonly in this desert, but give you a restriction. Without my order, you are not allowed to take this forest step. Wow! Yi Bei's voice fell. The whole body of this living tree, more than 1,000 meters high, began to dance. Wow! Booming. Over 1,000 meters high, the leaves cover the sky, and countless branches crisscross. When his body shook, the entire desert was about to shake. When the mutant beasts around saw it, their eyes widened, and they wanted to retreat and escape. But after seeing Yi Bei not moving at all, they had to crawl on the ground and didn't dare to move at all. Wow! The shaking of the living tree continued, as if it had come alive. 1 minute later. Roar! Standing under the haze of the leaves, the golden lion roared. This tree has blossomed. It has blossomed. When these words came out, the tone was all incredible. When I was on the experimental island, the white area was an absolute forbidden area. Because there were too many living plants inside and mutual restraint, it was impossible to want to reproduce wantonly. So it is very rare for living plants to bloom and bear fruit. Now, such a large living tree, with bright red flowers growing at a speed visible to the naked eye, how can the golden lion not be shocked? Is this going to turn the entire desert into living plants? Wang Wen's pupils shrank sharply. Zizi. However, their voices couldn't affect the living tree at all. Bright red flowers bloom quickly. Wow! The rhizome, which is thousands of meters deep underground, is like a water pump absorbing the deep water. 1,000 flowers. 10,000. 20,000. In the blink of an eye, bright red flowers appeared densely on the branches of the entire tree. In the dry air, bursts of attractive floral fragrance exudes. But these flowers, apart from being charming, are definitely not easy to provoke. Each flower is more than 1 meter long in diameter, one piece and one piece, like a human mouth, as if a creature flies over, it was swallowed. 10 minutes later, these flowers bloomed to the extreme, and then withered at a speed visible to the naked eye, highlighting the green, basketball-sized fruits. 15 minutes later, these green fruits turned red and looked very bright and attractive, even exuding a fruity fragrance. The mutant beasts around licked their tongues, wishing to get some fruits to eat. Don't even think about it. These fruits are not a good thing. Combining the poisonous elements in the desert, they look brilliant, but they are poisonous. If you dare to eat them, you will definitely die immediately. Chi-Chi. Yibei spit out the letter. The mutant beasts who were eager to try heard this. Their appetite disappeared instantly. Especially those guys on the experimental island. The fear in their eyes has strengthened again. 20 minutes later, the red fruit starts to turn yellow. Snapped. Finally, the first fruit fell to the ground with a snap. Falling down from a high altitude, the fruit fell apart, and a dark nucleus appeared in the middle. It was the seed of this living tree. Wow. Shoo. However, when the first fruit fell, the vines of the living tree shook again, and an extremely magical thing happened. The vines seemed to have a very high command, rolling down the fruits one by one, and then in the air, swaying wildly, formed a terrible force. He threw the ripe fruits far away. The farthest was even tens of thousands of meters away. It's an incredible plant. With this thing, even if the starry sky snake comes, it will be able to withstand it for a while. This method of reproduction is far more terrifying than humans. Those humans have created such monsters. Isn't there the slightest awareness? However, from another perspective, the existence of this kind of plant has absolute benefits for the transformation of the Earth's environment. At least it will produce a large amount of oxygen through photosynthesis, and maybe it can also slow down China. The smog problem in the capital of China. Chi-Chi. Yibei squinted his eyes. He didn't object to the living tree throwing the fruits out, but felt that this guy was more powerful. Yibei is very calm here. But at the security conferences of countries around the world, the leaders of those countries were all dumbfounded. At this time, they no longer considered that they were holding top-secret meetings, and they dialed the phone as quickly as possible to mobilize the country's most famous biologists and botanists to analyze the living plant. These leaders are not fools. When living plants appeared, they almost felt it for the first time. This kind of plants that can move is more powerful than the threat of mutant beasts. Once you let them take root and want to kill them, you must uproot them. Snapped. As for the black president of the United States, he turned off the video directly. After repeatedly confirming that he would not be monitored by others, he picked up a phone on the table and quickly dialed a number that only he knew. The Sahara Desert. Central location, the Research Institute underneath. In fact, when the Global Security Conference was held and a large number of mutant beasts appeared in the desert, Tony already knew. Wearing a white research suit. His complexion was ashen. Sitting in the office, Tony is listening to the analysis of several technicians who are responsible for monitoring the situation around the Sahara Desert. Dr. Tony, according to our judgment, the mutant beasts are all from the Atlantic Ocean. Although their size is much smaller, as long as the mutant beasts on the Atlantic are miniaturized, a large number of the same can be found. When a technician said this, there was cold sweat on his forehead. After all, this kind of thing is really shocking. Dr. Tony, we have just confirmed that the living plants are also from the experimental island. But compared to the living plants on the experimental island, his ability to multiply is obviously more powerful. Without competition from other plants, it will not take long. They can really green the entire desert, and most importantly, they seem to be united with the mutant beasts. Another technician said in minutes. Who? Tony sat in the office chair. His complexion changed from blue to pale. The muscles at the corners of the mouth are trembling. Although he has always claimed to the public that all these situations are under his control, there are also very good ways to eliminate mutant beasts and living plants. But Tony is very clear about the real situation. Those mutant creatures had long been beyond his control and acquired various strange abilities. As for the living tree, once it takes root, it cannot be destroyed if it is not uprooted. This is also one of the reasons why the living plants in the white area were not brought out when I was on the experimental island. Fear. At this moment, unprecedented fear spread in Tony's mind. Jingle bell. Exactly at this time, the phone on the table that rarely rings makes a harsh sound. Jingle bell. The harsh phone call made Tony's face paler. Coldly glanced at several technicians who reported the situation. You go out first. Remember that all the conditions of the mutant beasts and living plants are recorded for me, and you can't let go of a single bit. Yes, Dr. Tony. Yes, doctor. Don't worry. We believe in doctors. They are not afraid to have a doctor. These technicians are typing codes at the computer every day, and it is very difficult to communicate with humans normally. After listening to Tony's words, they finally came up with such words, as if they did not notice that Tony's face was very ugly. Seeing these people withdraw. Whew. After taking a few deep breaths, he made himself appear calmer and calmer, and then he picked up the phone next to him. Place the microphone about 5 centimeters away from your ear. Sure enough, a roar came directly from inside. Tony, you have to give me an explanation. What is the situation in the Sahara Desert, those mutant beasts and living plants? Asshole, if this explanation is not satisfactory, I can guarantee your research no one can take a step out of the desert. The Black President's roar came from the microphone. It is not difficult to see through this voice that the Black President is really very angry now. Your Excellency, please be very calm. After hearing the roar inside, Tony said such a sentence into the phone. Now, immediately, give me a reasonable explanation. During the call, the Black President calmed down a bit, but his tone was still very dissatisfied, and he ordered directly. Call. In the Sahara Desert, Tony took a deep breath. Your Excellency, everything is now under our control. When we created mutant beasts and living plants, we had taken precautions and had targeted plans. Tony, the power of living plants can instantly turn the entire Sahara Desert into an oasis. It may be a good thing for the Earth, but the global biological system will definitely have a terrible impact. The most important thing is that these plants have unprecedented aggressiveness, coupled with mutant beasts, may cause all mankind to enter the end-time disaster. Are you sure there is a way? When it comes to this, the Black President almost utters a word. As the head of the United States, he knows countless secrets and the impact of the Sahara Desert incident. Method? If it were just some ordinary living plants and mutant beasts, Tony did have a way. However, according to the information returned now, those things are completely beyond Tony's cognition. Especially a large living tree that actually blooms and bears fruit, and he throws the fruit it bears away, and grows quickly after landing. He didn't even figure out how to obtain the water necessary for growth. Your Excellency, is there a better way on your side? Tony wiped the cold sweat on his forehead, and instead of answering directly, he asked rhetorically. The Global Security Conference is being held. Those mutant beasts and living plants are now all appearing in the Sahara Desert. If the situation cannot be controlled, even if the conference fails to vote, I will use the president's authority to strike a devastating blow there. The voice was cold. What? Tony's expression changed a lot when he heard this. A devastating blow. Tony naturally knows what these simple words mean. No, the president absolutely can't do this. Our research institute is still here, and all the hard work is here. Once it hits, everything here will be over. Tony's face changed wildly. He believes that it is really possible for a Black president to do such a thing. Give you an hour. If the situation in the Sahara Desert cannot be controlled, then I have to resort to extreme methods. After all, you have done so much research and the United States has given a lot of funds. It is not a last resort, and I don't want as such. Snapped. The Black president finished speaking and hung up the phone with a snap. Then he leaned on the seat, closed his eyes, stretched out his hand and rubbed his temple vigorously, and then reopened the closed video. As for Tony, hearing that the phone was hung up, I first drew a few tissues on the desk to wipe off the cold sweat on my face. Wow. Immediately after he got up, he pressed a special button on the desk at the same time. At the same moment, all the personnel of the entire research institute who had participated in living plants and mutant beasts put aside their work and quickly walked towards the largest conference room. The button that Tony pressed means to convene. Only when there is a major breakthrough in research or an event that has a huge impact on the entire institute will everyone be convened. Wow. There was a burst of rapid footsteps. Hey, what's the matter with this conference? Could it be the latest progress made on mutant humans? Can it be controlled? A gray-haired doctor in his 50s, with a pair of heavy reading glasses in front of his eyes, ran at small steps, with unprecedented excitement in his eyes, because when he was convened before, there were various breakthroughs. Not necessarily. I got the news. It seems that there was an accident on the experimental island, which caused many mutant beasts to escape. I saw this meeting. Maybe it was related to this matter. Next to the old doctor, there is another white coat. The young man in his 80s has a heavy face. The mutant beast is out of control. As a researcher, he deeply knows that the terrifying ability to reproduce and powerful physique of those mutant beasts and mutant humans will pose unprecedented threats to the entire human race. Who knows? I'll talk about it in the past. Hope it's a good thing. These researchers were very fast. 5 minutes later, hundreds of people were seated in a huge conference room. Only at this moment, at the Global Security Conference, as the US president went online again and appeared in the video, major countries have all judged on the Sahara Desert. The Secretary General of the United Nations once again replaced the 3D projection with the voting interface. Living plants, mutated beasts, the video just now is top secret, but now the communication technology is too advanced, and sooner or later the whole world will know. This is simply impossible to hide. So I hope this vote from the head of China can be cautious and continue voting now. His expression was extremely serious. While speaking, he also looked deeply at the head of China. Don't worry, I have to think about it. The head of the Huaxia state nodded, then quickly moved the mouse and cast a vote decisively. It's just, when he cast this vote, the atmosphere in the entire conference room became weird. In the meeting room, the atmosphere is very solemn. However, when the head of China state voted for the last time, the atmosphere was extremely strange. First, the Secretary General of the United Nations, looking blankly, then his eyes went wide. The muscles on his face kept twitching. As for the Russian emperor, he originally had a lot of expectations, but at the moment when the voting structure came out, his face was stagnant, and then he lowered his head directly and held his forehead with one hand, feeling very tired. And the black president of the US almost didn't just fall off his chair. Even the leaders of some small countries hurriedly lowered their heads, wanting to laugh but holding back. The reason is simple. The last vote was originally decisive, but at the critical moment, the head of China state voted for abstaining. Sir, your vote makes me very convinced. Call. The UN Secretary General took a deep breath and said with a serious face, Yes, I am really convinced. Abstaining at this critical moment simply leaves the heads of all countries speechless. Our country has seriously considered this vote. Whether it is to directly destroy or send an army, these require long-term consideration. We will not fight an unsure battle. The tone is extremely serious. It was just this statement that made the heads of all countries on the scene speechless. Sure enough, they are all too high hands. Voting the first option offended the Russian emperor, and voting the second offended the President of the United States, so I simply abstained. For the Global Security Conference, eBay currently has no knowledge of it. The body is entrenched in the Sahara Desert, surrounded by a dense herd of mutant wild animals, and the dense leaves of large living trees cover the sun. The originally dry desert environment looks slightly cool at the moment. The noise here is really too loud. If nothing happens, we must be locked by humans again. Then, when everyone moves forward, try to move in the shadow of the leaves. Chi-Chi. eBay spit out Shinzi and issued orders. During this period of time, more than 2,000 rattlesnakes have been thoroughly arranged, and the 9 snakes are led by them. The next goal is naturally the research institute where Tony is located.
Yes.
Yes, King.
Yes.
The mutant beasts answered one after another. Wow. When they talked, on the barren desert, the seeds that fell on the ground quickly sprouted and grew. The rhizomes of large living trees are where they fall, and they provide water for them. In 1 minute, the seed germinated directly and grew more than 1 meter tall. 5 minutes later, the body size has reached more than 20 meters, and countless roots spread under the ground. Those roots were quickly linked with the roots of the living tree controlled by eBay. After each seed germinated and grew into a big tree, became the clone of the first living tree. Wow! 20 minutes later, Within a 10-kilometer radius of Yebei's location, everything was covered by leaves, and these big trees also covered all of the institute. The movement is too big. In the desert, an oasis was created forcibly. The changes that have taken place here cannot be concealed at all. When one after another satellite discovered the situation here, the whole world shook wildly again, especially those famous botanists whose worldviews were all subverted, and they were all about where they were. Of the country, applied to go to the Sahara Desert for investigation, but didn't realize that those plants were terrifying. ZZZ. Wow. On Yi-Bei's side, with the entire mutant beast group shuttled under the haze of the big tree, moving quickly. Although some dust is occasionally lifted up, it is not too exposed because of the shelter of this kind of leaves. Just with the emergence of these big trees, some humans exploring in the desert, as well as the animals that originally lived in the desert, have been greatly affected. Oasis, I see the oasis. Ha ha ha, we are saved. Run. As long as you get there, there will be a lot of water. An expedition team composed entirely of men, with chapped lips and dust in his hair. When he moved forward, his movements were extremely difficult, but after seeing a hint of green appearing in front of him, his eyes opened and he directly moved his backpack. All dropped to the ground. While yelling in his mouth, he ran wildly. The other members of the expedition team reacted, and it was the same. Many big trees. Hurry up. The second expedition. I finally came out of this ghost place. Damn it. I will never come to the desert again. I hope there are any living animals in the woods. I want to eat barbecue. The second expedition. Magar God. What did I find? Oasis, the legendary oasis. I didn't expect this to be true. There really is an oasis in the Sahara Desert. Quick, go forward quickly. Patting the camel, a man in a white robe said excitedly. This is the third expedition. The Sahara Desert is one of the most famous and largest deserts in the world. I don't know how many teams explore this desert every year, but at this moment, the humans in these expeditions think they have seen hope in desperation. I didn't realize that what awaited them might be hell. No, even more terrifying than hell. The number of expeditions continues to increase. The creatures in the desert also began to converge towards the oasis. The entire Sahara Desert is undergoing rapid changes due to the emergence of living plants. However, at this moment, Yi-Bei didn't care about those situations. DDD. On the monitor obtained in the computer on the experimental island, the two red dots have completely overlapped, and then the alarm sounded continuously. Chi-Chi. Yi-Bei stopped, vomiting Shinzi. If it's not wrong, our destination has already arrived, but the current situation is really weird. After arriving directly above the other party's research institute, there was no resistance or attack. Yi-Bei's voice was puzzled. While speaking, the field of mental power expanded wildly. Since engulfing the starry sky snake, Yi-Bei's spiritual power domain can even penetrate into the ground, showing a trend of radius, so he can detect the expanding domain and even the situation in the ground. What is the problem? The field of mental power continues to spread. However, when going deep into the ground, the consumption of mental power is very large. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. The mental power value has already consumed 30 points. However, when the spiritual power domain spread to 2 kilometers, Yi-Bei's eyes suddenly lit up and Shinzi spit out, revealing sharp and neat teeth. Tony, found you. Under the exploration of the spiritual power domain, Yi-Bei had a complete understanding of the situation of this research institute almost instantly. The research institute goes deep into the core area of the desert at a location of 2,600 underground. The total area is more than 50,000 square meters, like a vast underground palace. The whole is a rectangular shape, divided into 7 layers. In the middle of each layer, there is a steel plate more than 1 meter thick. And the 6 sides of this rectangle are all made of a mixture of concrete and steel plates to form a hole, placed at a depth of 2,600 meters under the desert, so there is no need to worry about the danger of collapse. This overall rectangle has only 2 openings in total. An exit. An entrance. It is also a hole. Each mouth has 10 doors. On weekdays, the first door is blocked by a lot of sand. When the door is opened, there will be a huge force inside to push the sand open. Then, according to the principle of the elevator, dive down and go 2,600 meters deep underground. And each entrance is only more than 2 meters wide. It takes a long time each time to transport materials and allow personnel to enter and exit normally. It's incredible. Has human construction technology reached this point? It is terrible to build such a thing more than 2,000 meters below. Call. After 3 minutes passed, the mental energy was consumed too much. Yibei took a deep breath and withdrew the power of the domain, but the scenes he had detected just now kept playing back in his mind. A cement steel mixed building made of integral casting. Fantastic exit and entrance. And each layer has different research products. Okay. However, just as Yibei continued to ponder, his eyes glared. With the current technology of the United States, it is absolutely very difficult to quietly build such a building in the depths of the desert. But when I looked at it just now, although the inner floor, all the places visible to human eyes, are painted very clean. But those outside, it looks like a very long time has passed. Could it be? This research institute is itself a relic from an ancient civilization? But if this is the case, how did they find out, and how did they get in without damage? Chi spit the letter. After thinking of this, even Yibei himself felt incredible and shocked even more. Wang, how is it? Seeing Yibei's eyes constantly changing, the golden lion stood still and didn't move at all. He couldn't help but ask. When Yibei heard this voice, he suddenly came back to his senses. I have found the target, but it seems a bit troublesome. Their defense technology is very good. Go to the entrance and try it first. Yes, King. No matter how many golden lions, I was overjoyed after listening.
Yes. Yes.
Wangwan, Chunhua Qiyu, and having fun, they also answered one after another. In the eyes of these mutant beasts, the goal is very simple. Just complete the task early and leave the desert early. Zizi. Yibei led the way. He had discovered the entrance just now. But at the moment in the research institute deep underground, this is the situation, the official side. Give us an hour. If it can't be resolved, then all of us will die because of it. Tony stood on the main seat of the conference room. When explaining, his eyes swept over the doctors and professors one by one. And what he said was a lot of exaggeration of the Black President. 1 hour. How can it be so fast? Mutated beasts and living plants are all out of control now. Even if you want to find a corresponding method, it will take a lot of time. Those politicians are just talking. Think of a way, the most direct way. When Tony finished speaking, there was a heated discussion in the entire conference room. At the same time, outside the meeting room, several technicians were struggling. Dr. Tony just said that this is a top-secret meeting. No one is allowed to interrupt. Do you really want to go in? It was a black man who was talking about Tony with fear in his eyes. This is a big deal. Those living plants have covered our entrance and exit, and many of them have grown on our base. This matter must be reported to him quickly. The mutant plants are okay. The walls of our research institute cannot be broken by those plants. I'm afraid the mutant beasts rush in. Knock on the door. This matter can't be delayed. Why don't you knock on the door? Why else, man? I knock on the door. You go in and report? No, let's exchange ways. Several technicians are constantly arguing, and time is constantly wasted in the course of such disputes. In fact, this is also the main reason why the living plants in duo are almost reaching the entrance of the institute and have not been hit by any. 10 minutes. 20 minutes. Those technicians are still arguing. Squeak. Suddenly, the door of the meeting room opened. Tony had finished saying what he was going to say and was about to leave. He opened the door of the conference room and just saw several technicians standing at the door, and his face immediately became a little black. What's the matter with you? In this situation, shouldn't we monitor the situation outside? Tony questioned unceremoniously right now. The technicians looked happy when they saw Tony, but soon their eyes were filled with fear. Hey. Sweeping in the conference room, countless well-known doctors, Professors swept their eyes, and a lot of cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Dr. Tony, something important. In the end, it was the black man who spoke carefully. What's up? Tony asked coldly. At this moment, in the conference room, there was a direct silence, and all the doctors and professors were listening. This eavesdropping is no secret. Tony frowned. Go ahead. They are not outsiders. Yes, doctor. A major event happened just now. 20 minutes ago, a large number of living plants grew on the surface of our base, but their roots could not penetrate the walls of the institute. At the same time, we monitored that many mutant beasts. They all gathered at the entrance and surrounded the entrance. They are here, the black technician said in one breath. What? Hearing this, the doctors and professors in the conference room opened their eyes wide. Endless fear spreading in their minds. The entrance was blocked, and the surface was all living plants. Doesn't that mean? Now this research institute has been completely blocked, no materials can be transported in, and no personnel should ever want to go out? As for Tony's eyes, they almost stared out. Asshole, asshole. How do you report this kind of thing now? You idiot. Boom. He kicked the technician unceremoniously, roared in his mouth, and then rushed towards the technical department. There was a rush of footsteps in the institute. Tony rushed to the front. The next few researchers in charge of reporting followed closely behind. As for the black man who spoke just now, there were many grievances on his face. When this group of people disappeared at the door of the conference room, the doctors and professors inside burst into flames. Living plants multiply so fast? Has the entire base surface been covered now? If what the technician just said is true, the trouble will be great. Those plants have strong aggressiveness. Once a living thing is found, it will be hanged with vines for changes and then absorb the water in the biological body. Except for living plants, but how could the mutant beasts find the entrance so quickly? You must know that the entrance of this research institute is in the yellow sand. The yellow sand covers more than 3 meters. Even when we came here, we couldn't see any traces. Anyway, think of a way. I don't want to die. I still have my family, and I haven't gone back for several years. How could this be? These doctors, professors, and some people are thinking about solutions with a gloomy expression. There are also some people who are extremely pessimistic, as if they are going to die at any time, and their legs weakened on the spot. In the technical department, Tony, as the leader of this institute, is also the most powerful person. When he came to the technical department, everyone looked at him unconsciously. How is the situation now? As soon as he came in, Tony asked out loud. In this technical department, all the technologies are at the world's leading level. Many fantastic high-tech products are available here, such as their consoles, all with 3D graphics. Every technician is wearing work clothes, with his fingers quickly operating on it. As Tony's voice fell, a 3D projection immediately appeared in this department hall. The situation inside. It was eBay leading a large number of mutant beasts, opening the entrance screen. In the picture, eBay is entrenched behind. The tens of thousands of mutant beasts have a very clear division of labor, and they directly use their bodies and hands to quickly dig at the location of the entrance dune. In less than a minute, the first door was completely exposed. What are they doing? Also, how could the location of this entrance be exposed so quickly? Seeing this, Tony shouted anxiously. He knew exactly what would happen once the mutant beast entered this research institute. Dr. Tony, we don't know this. These mutant beasts, starting from the Atlantic Ocean, rush towards this side in a straight line, as if something is guiding them. And when looking for this entrance, they were all monitoring them. During the process, they were only silent for a few dozen seconds, and then they directly locked their positions. A technician said with a trembling voice. There was cold sweat on his forehead. When I watched that scene just now, it was too shocking and incredible. This is impossible. They are just some mutant beasts. Tony growled. However, as soon as he finished speaking this sentence, his body was stunned. Wait a minute. It is said that the big living tree directly covers all of this place. Did all his roots spread in? The mutant beast can communicate with the living tree. So has it found the location of our entrance? I have to say that Tony is a talent. Even this kind of thing can be thought of. Dr. Tony, it's very likely that way. Yes, it may be more than 90%. Then, doctor, what shall we do next? The technicians had bright eyes, but their tone was very anxious. How to do? How to do? Tony calmed down slowly, but his eyes were extremely anxious. What happened now had exceeded his expectations, especially the mutant beasts. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Seeing Tony being silent, the eyes of the people in the entire technical department were extremely panicked. However, after 5 minutes, Tony finally spoke again. Our base is not simple. It is divided into 7 floors. Now we are on the first floor, and it is extremely strong. It is a hole made of steel plate cement, and living plants cannot enter. Those mutant beasts, the same is true. The most important thing now is to worry about resources. After all, it has been dragged on, and our resources will be exhausted sooner or later. So, counterattack, this is also necessary. Doctor, there are a total of 10 doors at the entrance. These mutant beasts can't even enter the first way. Their IQs are nothing but this. Our base also stores a lot of weapons. We can set up an ambush when we are inside the next few doors. If I remember well, there are also a large number of mutant humans in our research institute. Just let them fight. These technicians also expressed their opinions when they were nervous. At the entrance and exit, starting from the third door, some powerful mutant humans are placed in the passage of each door, controlled by machines, and once the mutant beasts rush in, let them fight. Call. Tony took a deep breath and spoke suddenly. Besides, the weapons are also ready. Once the 9th road is broken, we will directly empty the first floor. Everyone will go to the second floor, and the first floor will be covered with bombs. After they come in, all detonate. When he said this, the veins on Tony's forehead burst. Hiss. Those technicians listened and sucked in air conditioning. Doctor, if we blow up the first layer with a bomb, we will be finished, and we will never get out. Yes, doctor, please consider it seriously. Dr. Tony, this matter. The voice was extremely tense. There are living plants outside. Even if they are not destroyed, do you think it is likely to go out? Also, don't forget, the 7th floor of our base is itself a small ecological research center, which claims to be an ecological cycle. Even if there is no any foreign matter, we can live here for more than a year. As long as the mutant beasts can be eliminated, the country will certainly not fail to save us. Tony gritted his teeth. This is where he directly exploded the first layer of confidence. These monsters, you are dead. I don't believe it. You can penetrate 10 gates without bombs? Yes. Doctor, it seems that this is the only way. Express the mutant over. The technical department became busy immediately. Just after being busy for less than a minute, something terrible happened on the 3D projection in the hall. Tony's eyes widened. All the technicians also opened their eyes. On the projector, what happened outside the first door has been kept. And the video is a transmission of current affairs, extremely high definition. Outside the first door, when all the sand is shipped out, Yi-Bei was entrenched on the periphery, staring at the 2-meter-wide square special metal iron gate with a hint of wonder in his eyes. Sure enough, it's the same as I thought. This kind of building can't be made with current human technology. Chi-Chi, the letter was spitting out. Because on this iron gate, an extremely clear pattern is carved. Demon Eye. That strange, evil, and deep eyes were staring at him, even releasing some powerful mental power from time to time, which made Yi-Bei feel a little dizzy. But there is another thing very strange. The eyes of the devil seem to have no effect on the mutant beasts around Yi-Bei. Mutated monkeys, since humans can enter, there must be a way to open it, and they don't have spirit orbs. Go try, and see if you can open the first iron gate. Continue to order. Originally, he wanted to use Lingzhu directly, but after thinking about it, I gave up. After all, according to what I know now, there is no spirit orb in this base. There is another way to open the iron gate. It is also good to take the opportunity to test the wisdom of the mutant monkeys. Yes, King.
Yes. Yes.
In the mutant beast group, the mutant monkeys left and stepped forward after hearing it. When I answered, I spoke directly in English. And while answering, their bodies increased rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than 3 seconds, they changed from a small thumb monkey to a huge monkey 2 to 3 meters tall. Then several monkeys quickly squatted in front of the first door to study. Underground Research Institute, Technical Department. Tor, Dr. Tony. Just now, those monkeys seem to speak English. A technician, with his mouth open, spit out such a sentence for a long time. His eyes widened. Tony's mouth muscles were shaking. Compared with these monkeys' spit-out human language, the more attention points in his wide-eyed eyes are on other places. The little monkeys just increased rapidly and reached more than 3 meters in an instant. This situation is completely let him lose his thinking. With extremely high intelligence and strong physical fitness, it can also become bigger and smaller, keeping the body shape in the most suitable state. Isn't this the ultimate goal of the evolution medicine I am studying? After more than 10 seconds, Tony said something like this. Could it be that the old guy Toms didn't die? He also created a finished evolution potion. He continued, with unprecedented amazement in his eyes, but soon he calmed down again. The experimental island is completely destroyed. He cannot be alive unless he himself has become an evolutionary creature. Dr. Tony. Doctor. What happens next? Hearing Tony's constant talking to himself, the technicians in the technical department were a little anxious. After recovering, they looked at Tony with fear in their eyes and said with a trembling voice, "Let's keep watching." The IQs of these mutant monkeys seem to be very high, but trying to crack the entrance here from the outside is not that simple. They don't have a computer and enough cracking tools at all. The most important thing is the entrance here. The calculation method is from ancient times. Tony gritted his teeth. When this base was discovered, it brought countless departments in the United States to study. Just the first door, I don't know how much effort was spent. And after the cracking is successful, the entrance rules have always been the continuation of the initial procedures. Tony is very firm at the moment, excluding the use of violent means, and wants to crack the first way. These mutant beasts simply can't do it. But his thought just appeared, and then his mouth opened wide. Wong. Look, there are many strange symbols on this iron plate. They should be in the language of some kind of creature, and these raised symbols can be easily pressed. This design is a bit similar to a password. The best way to open this door without damaging it is to crack the code. In the 3D projection, a huge monkey said respectfully to a little black snake that was more than 1 meter long. His eyes were full of wisdom, and the English he uttered was extremely clear. The results of this analysis made Tony's cheeks red and hot. When the Iron Gate was discovered before, it took more than 3 days for the experts from the United States to determine that it was a password gate. But now, a mutant monkey took only 3 minutes to analyze this step. Can these guys' IQs already crush us humans? With eyes wide open and mouth open, Tony muttered to himself. No one answered Tony. But in the Sahara Desert, the dense leaves covered the entrance, making the environment look shady. Tens of thousands of mutant beasts waited quietly nearby. Even if they were of different types, there was no dispute. Password. Chi-Chi. Yibei spit out Shinzi, quite curious. One thing is certain now. This base is inseparable from the Beast God civilization. The legendary Beast God civilization also uses passwords. This is the first time I have seen it. Yes, Wong, if you are right, you need to press down these symbols in the normal order, and the door will automatically open. A mutant monkey said again. How long it takes? If you have a calculator, it will take up to 1 hour. If it goes well, 10 minutes will do. The text on this is strange, but it is not difficult to parse. The mutant monkey was confident. These conversations spread to the institute. Tony and those technicians looked more and more exciting. The fastest 10 minutes? Can it be cracked in up to an hour? In particular, where did these mutant monkeys get their confidence? I have a calculator, but there is no place to charge it. Huh. As eBay spoke, the space in front of him quickly twisted, and then a computer appeared out of thin air.
This?
In the research institute, Tony's eyes were full of blood when he saw this place. Space. Spatial ability? Have you seen it? This guy has turned into a computer out of thin air. How did he do it? The voice is a bit out of control, and those technicians are even more confused. These mutant beasts have subverted their cognition time and time again. Even the human elites of them have a feeling, as if what they have learned over the years has been especially learned from dogs. Wait first, just take out the computer. There is no power. I want to see how they solve it. After being shocked, Tony struggled to find a balance. But, just as he said this, the mutant monkeys at the entrance decisively hit him in the face. In the Sahara Desert, dozens of mutant monkeys gathered around the entrance of the base. When eBay got a few computers out of the death forest, these mutant monkeys disassembled one of the computers as quickly as possible. Immediately afterwards, the technique was extremely skillful. The metal inside was placed in strange shapes, and even a metal wire was pierced into the living tree. Only less than 3 minutes passed. These mutant monkeys have successfully completed the electric group. Wong, you can turn it on. The electric group is the best. A mutant monkey quickly put the wire to the street and then seriously said to eBay, "Can it be turned on?" In the research institute, Tony felt that his IQ was not enough. Crackling. But then, he clearly saw that after these mutant monkeys connected the wires, the remaining computers were all booted up. Other than that, the more terrifying things were still to come. I saw these mutant monkeys. One monkey was holding the computer, and the other monkey, when not connected to the internet, tapped the keyboard very quickly. The computer screen was constantly beating and analyzing characters, which was very strange. Crack. These mutant monkeys are actually cracking the code. Monkeys can also play computers? Where did you learn it? What are they? Are they really mutant beasts we researched out? Unbelievable. This is incredible. Dr. Tony, we can still communicate with the outside world now. Do you want to pass back the captured images? The impact of this incident is really too great. These mutant creatures have such a high level of intelligence and threaten us humans too much. Big. These technicians all started talking. Tony's cheeks are hot. But when he heard the words of these technicians, his complexion changed more quickly, and his mouth groaned, "Shut up! Remember, everything that happened here is not allowed to be passed on, otherwise, I can guarantee it. People will die miserably." Tony is very clear. Once the President of the United States and the heads of countries know the extraordinary features of these mutant beasts, using their methods, it is estimated that within a few minutes, a large number of nuclear bombs will be poured down, and the entire Sahara Desert will become scorched earth. Everyone in this institute will die completely, without any vitality.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Tony. These technicians couldn't understand, but they were unambiguous in executing the order and answered one after another. Keep watching. These mutant beasts must be mutant beasts from the Atlantic Ocean. That's right. Not only can they grow bigger and smaller, they can communicate with living plants, but they also have extremely high intelligence. We can get the genes of these mutant beasts, and the value will be limitless. Everyone in our entire research institute will become a real Superman. Tony had unprecedented fear in his eyes, but at the same time, there was endless enthusiasm and excitement. Beside Thomas since childhood, for mutant creatures and the fanaticism of mutant plants, it can be said that no one in this world can compare Tony. Seeking wealth in danger. Tony is betting. If those mutant beasts can't attack, as long as they obtain genes, the speed of research will be infinitely accelerated. Yes, doctor. Continue to monitor and don't let go of any details. Calm down, everyone. Look carefully. In the technical department, the technicians relaxed a lot. In the end, Tony's superhuman sentence gave them a lot of hope and gave them a reason to pay their lives for it. Yes, if some of the genes can be obtained, the researchers in this base will be able to crack it in no time. So these technicians and Tony patiently watched the situation on the 3D projection. In the desert, Yibei's body was entrenched, and at the moment it was very leisurely. The leaves of the living tree blocked the surveillance from the satellite, and here is a research base. The US side will not be destroyed so easily. At present, everyone here is very quiet. Staring at the monkeys operating the computers, they also watched with gusto. As for the tens of thousands of mutant beasts, they also watched patiently, and the scene was extremely quiet. Pala pala. The mutant monkeys typed the keyboard very fast. This code is wrong, man. Change it. Type this symbol. Yes, if you do it this way, it will definitely speed up several times. Thank you. It really works. Huh? The computer has an image for automatic networking. If it is correct, there should be a signal transmission here, Wong. Should I cut off the signal completely? The mutant monkeys said excitedly as they cracked it. Can a computer without internet connection cut off the communication signal in this neighborhood? Yi Bei's eyes narrowed slightly. The IQ of these mutant monkeys is really quite unexpected. It seems that during this time, they are not just fighting. It is estimated that more time, they are learning knowledge together. There is no need to cut off. I think they have already discovered us a long time ago, so it feels good. They found us, but they have no choice but to wait for us. Chi-Chi. Yi Bei spit out the letter and said lightly. However, when Yi Bei spoke, he used snake language and the general language of the beasts of the system, so that these mutant monkeys could understand clearly. But after this scene was passed to the research institute, Tony and others all had another idea. They can understand the English spoken by the mutant monkeys, know that the snake in front of them is the king of this group of mutant beasts, but they can't understand Yi Bei's voice, which makes them think that these mutant beasts must have other special exchanges. The way. Yes, king.
Yes.
The mutant monkeys continued to work. 1 minute. 5 minutes. Yi Bei could see clearly that there were more and more strange codes on the computer screen. At 8 minutes. Suddenly, the computer screen changed, and a lot of code originally turned into a square box. The pattern on the box is exactly the pattern on the entrance iron door. There is no gap. Happiness. When the mutant monkey hit the keyboard a few more times, the patterns on it jumped automatically. At 9 minutes. Click. As if hearing a click, the box pattern on the computer was opened directly. Seeing this, the monkey in charge of cracking was overjoyed. Wong, it's done. Then just press the symbols in this order to open the first door. The mutant monkey is very excited. But in research institutes, technical departments, Tony and the group of technicians suddenly felt that the whole world was not so good. Bang bang. A few mutant monkeys quickly pressed on the steel gate, making snapping noises. Click. This process takes less than 5 seconds. A crisp clicking sound followed. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Then, the steel gate slowly opened, and a huge gust of wind spewed out from the inside. Some small sand around it was all blown away. If the gate was opened from the inside, the sand piled on it would also be blown away. Blow, no one can get in. It's an incredible principle. Built in this kind of place, you can still avoid a grain of sand. A mutant monkey looked at him excitedly, muttered to himself. When these words came out, the monkey changed into a white suit, which was definitely much more reliable than the so-called experts. It's incredible. Monkeys and everyone, from now on, don't look stupidly here, and remember everything far away from here. Chi-Chi. Yi Bei's eyes lit up, and while spitting out the letter, his body ignored the violent wind blowing from inside and moved slowly towards the entrance. 3 minutes later, the strong wind at the entrance stopped immediately. Within a radius of 100 meters, a convex shape is formed, and the convex position is the entrance of the first door. Yi Bei was entrenched at the entrance, leaning his head, looking inside with his naked eyes. At the same time, the Underground Research Institute, Tony's side, the atmosphere is extremely gloomy. The muscles of Tony's mouth twitched wildly. Those technicians were red and hot. Their eyes were full of fear. Hiss. I didn't know who it was, and suddenly took a breath of air conditioning, and then all the talents in this technical department recovered. 10 minutes, no. It only took 9 minutes to crack the first door. Are these mutant monkeys open and hang up? It can't count as 10 minutes. The first few minutes are still used to make electricity. Asshole, if this base falls into their hands, once they learn all the information here, will it be worth it? It's terrible. These monsters must be killed, otherwise we humans are all over. Although these technicians are very homeless and only know technology, when they see this place, they realize the unprecedented danger and for the first time feel that they must contribute to the peace of mankind. Tony gritted his teeth. Everyone is ready. Immediately drop me powerful mutant creatures between the 3rd door and the 10th door, and inject them with the highest dose of stimulant. At the same time, after the notification, all personnel are evacuated from the 1st floor and put a large number of remote-controlled bombs on the 1st floor. Once they are breached and enter the 1st floor, all of us must plan for the worst. Tony commanded coldly. It's crackling. After the sound fell, the people in this technical department all madly tapped the keyboard. Wow. Through machine control, a large number of mutated humans who were locked in special glass and mutated beasts were transported between those iron gates. Retreat. Notify everyone. Go to the 2nd floor for refuge. Fast, faster. After doing this, even more magical things happened. I saw that the core items in the 1st floor were all reduced to the size of a suitcase. Then these technicians, as well as the staff, had 2 hands. Back quickly to the 2nd floor. Arrange the mutant humans. All retreat is complete. And completely empty the 1st layer. Finally, the 1st floor was covered with densely packed remote control bombs. This whole process takes less than 10 minutes. The building structure of the 2nd floor is actually similar to the 1st floor. When it was built, it was estimated to be used for evacuation. When everyone reached the 2nd floor, they continued to take out the instruments in their hands to monitor the situation outside. Chi-Chi, the Sahara Desert. Yibei stretched out his head, and as the 1st door opened, Yibei looked over curiously. Square channel. It's 2 meters long and 2 meters wide, but when it's opened, the channel looks very bright. I don't know where the light comes from. Around the walls, there are densely painted special symbols, sometimes mixed with several symbols. With the eyes of the devil, the length of the passage reached 260 meters, with 10 gates, and the interval between each gate was so long. Zizi. Yibei didn't hesitate. Right now, his body walked directly into this passage. However, when the body completely left the desert ground and appeared above the 1st door, a miracle appeared. Yibei's body was directly suspended in this. Anti-gravity technology? It's amazing. With this technology, all of our mutant beasts can go to heaven. Seeing such a scene, Yibei was rather calm. But the mutant monkeys next to him were shocked, and they started talking directly. Being able to float in this 1st channel without any support, this is completely anti-gravity. Interesting. Chi-Chi. Yibai Pieo was in this passage, his body in a weightless state, but his mouth was vomiting a letter, which felt very interesting. But what do you need to get inside? After 3 seconds passed, Yibei asked the mutant monkeys who were extremely excited. Wong. It's very simple. Since it is an anti-gravity technology, that is to say, in a state of weightlessness, only a certain amount of force needs to be applied to the object. In the state of weightlessness, it will continue to advance with a constant acceleration. This channel is not, it is very long. It is more than 200 meters visually. I am afraid that after continuous acceleration, when the speed is too fast, it will bring devastating results. Therefore, every time a certain distance is built, a weightless channel is set up. If it is correct, there are many ways to the door to this research institute. A mutant monkey with eyes full of wisdom said seriously. Incredible. Yibei was quite surprised after listening. I used to see through the field of mental power before that there are a total of 10 gates, but this monkey has directly analyzed it, and it is very accurate. That is to say, just exert force on yourself? Yes, King. I see. Then, let me go in first. Chi-Chi. Spit out the letter. Yibei thought for a while and said, Wong, please take us over. If there are any doors below, you must crack them again. With the experience of cracking the 1st door, it only takes 3 minutes at most to crack each door. These mutant monkeys all looked at Yibei with scorching eyes. They were forced to learn technology before. Now these guys are very enthusiastic about science and technology. If they develop at this speed, it is estimated that it will not be long before these mutant monkeys will become the greatest scientists, experts, professors, and doctoral elite monkeys on the planet. Only, the feeling of weightlessness is wonderful. Yi-Bei was at the entrance of the passage, his body suspended, relying on the expansion and contraction of his muscles, constantly twisting. Wangwon, Golden Lion, Spring Flowers, and Autumn Moons, have fun. You can move freely under the scope of this living tree, and if there is danger, you can also leave around this living tree for a short time. Remember not to run too much. Far away. Huh. Yi-Bei ignored the mutant monkey, but looked at Wang Wan and the others. Wang. Then may I also go in here? However, when facing Yi-Bei's order, the Golden Lion bravely said, looking at the bright passage and Yi-Bei floating above, his eyes were also quite frenzied. Human beings have a strong curiosity about the unknown. Similarly, these mutant beasts who have gained wisdom are no exception. Me too. Wang. If I can, I want to go inside too. Wang Wen also sneered at the letter, his eyes burning. You can do whatever you want. Don't trouble me anyway. After Yi-Bei left this sentence, he looked at the wildly mutated monkeys. The doors in front will be cracked by you, and the speed must be fast. Also, once cracked, immediately move back. You are not fighting type beasts. Yes, King.
Yes. Yes.
When the mutant monkeys listened, their voices were overjoyed, and they immediately agreed. Then, their originally huge bodies quickly became smaller. In the end, these monkeys became only the size of normal humans, holding the computer and jumping into the tunnel. Another mutant monkey is standing outside. Every time you jump in, it stretches out its finger and taps lightly on the monkey who jumped in. A miraculous thing happened. The monkey who jumped in began to move slowly and went deep into it, just like flying. It was wonderful. The second door. When arriving at this door, anti-gravity immediately failed. It was originally a vertical downward passage. As a result, gravity appeared on one side. Yi-Bei and all these mutant monkeys could stand steadily inside. When they were inside, they felt like they were on the ground. This channel is vertically downward. This situation is too weird. Although the mutant monkeys were curious, they were surprised. But Yi-Bei was extremely calm. Look at this second door. On this steel door, there are also some strange patterns and demon eyes. It's just that the eyes of the devil are clearer than those outside the first door. If ordinary human beings appear here, maybe the mind will be affected by it and become mentally ill. Yi-Bei thought to himself. In fact, his judgment is really correct. When the United States discovered the base, countless people were asked to crack it. In the end, at least 80% of the scientists were affected. After they came out, they were unconscious and sent them all. Go to the psychiatric hospital for treatment. Spread. However, this weak mental power influence was of little use to Yi-Bei. Roar. With a low growl in his mouth, Yi-Bei's powerful mental power was released, breaking it open instantly. Well, monkeys, you can start. Chi-Chi. After confirming that it was temporarily safe, Yi-Bei spit out Shinzi, just ordering. Those mutant monkeys who were so excited and were also affected by the devil's eye, they were shocked when they heard Yi-Bei's words, and then they dared not delay anymore. Crackling. He immediately picked up the computer, quickly typed on the keyboard, and cracked it carefully. Okay. As for Yi-Bei, he waited patiently beside him. However, after unintentionally releasing the spiritual power domain, his eyes suddenly widened, and then a look of excitement appeared in his eyes. Wait, when you find the cracked code, you all go back. I will open this door. Chi-Chi spit out the letter. His voice was cold. Yes, King.
Yes.
These mutant monkeys answered immediately, just a little curious why Yi-Bei had to do it himself. What they don't know is, after Yi-Bei released the spiritual power domain, he immediately discovered that behind the second gate, many powerful mutant humans appeared. Ho ho ho. Golyulu. Ah. Those human beings hover in the passage in all directions. Their mouths are constantly making noises. Their eyes are red, and when they push each other, they can keep moving irregularly in this passage. Tony wants to use these mutant humans to block eBay. But for eBay, these mutant humans are all the best food. It happens to have used too much mental power before. If these mutant humans are used as food supplements, the mental power will probably be restored in an instant. People in this research institute, I'm afraid I don't know what food means to me. Right. Waiting for the mutant monkeys to crack, eBay thought to himself. As long as there is enough food, as long as eBay is not fatally injured, he will definitely not die, and the wound will recover quickly. The stronger the Vietnam War, this is one of the most terrifying places in the entire mutant beast group. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Click. eBay heard a click. Open your eyes. Wong. All right, we have already cracked the second door. Just follow this order. The mutant monkey in charge of cracking shouted excitedly. While speaking, he took the initiative to place the computer screen in front of eBay. The strange patterns on it moved in order, and then the model opened with a click. With eBay's current wisdom and brain capacity, after a little glance, he remembered everything clearly. Very well, you stand back a little and keep a distance of 5 meters from me. Yes, King. Wow. When the mutant monkey stepped back and looked at this side with curious eyes, eBay moved. The physical quality is extremely strong. Although it is a snake body, it is extremely flexible. Bang bang. The tail was on the steel gate, pressing constantly, making a popping sound. Research Institute, the second floor, Tony and the group of technicians, when they saw this scene, they covered their mouths one by one. Their eyes burst, and their breathing became extremely heavy. Mutant monkeys can use computers to quickly crack the codes of ancient civilizations. A mutant snake? You can also use the tail to type the password. This is really science fiction. Doctor. A technician with fear. Don't worry, watch patiently. This python can become bigger and smaller, but the whole passage restricts him. Behind the second door, there are a large number of mutant humans, and they have been injected with stimulants. Wait. Tony gritted his teeth. It's just that when he said this, he himself felt unrealistic. The strength demonstrated by the mutant beasts before was too terrifying. Can mutant humans really be able to stop them? Click. Squeak. When I thought of this, on the 3D projection, the second door creaked and opened directly. See what's inside. The mutant monkeys standing behind eBay all opened their eyes wide. But eBay was spitting out the letter. His eyes were full of excitement. There are more mutant humans here than imagined.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.